Right now we're in a great location for the great northern pikes.
Come on, Mr. Pike. We have a surprise for you. Oh. Sorry, it's hard to keep a conversation when you got a fish on. And look, it's pulling me ahead.
Canadian Sport Fishing, brought to you by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Yamaha Outboards, reliability starts here. Dickies, guaranteed workwear since 1922. Lucky Strike, all you need is a Lucky Strike.
You know, we've got a beautiful July day, and I thought we'd take a chance to do some kayak fishing on a pothole lake. I'm with James Beaupre, who's in the background over here. James, this is your first time in a kayak.
This is my very first time in a kayak.
What do you think?
You know what, the stability of these kayaks are just phenomenal.
Now all we got to do is hook some big fish and see how they behave, right?
Right now we're in a great location for the great northern pikes.
Well, I'm casting a spoon. I've got a halfway from Lucky Strike. I know you said spinnerbaits work really well.
Really well. Oh,
you know what? That was the first cast. I mean,
wow.
That's amazing. You know your spots. Now, how long have you been fishing here? You said you've been fishing here ever since you were a little kid?
Yeah, I grew up on this lake, more or less. And I've been fishing it ever since my first cast was in this lake.
What's the biggest pike that you've landed here, either in inches or in pounds?
You know what? I've caught some weighed up to 12 pounds.
Wow,
yeah,
those are nice
which is a good fish for these northern kettle lakes.
Well, you know, I've been in northern lakes all the way up to Eagle Lake, and we'll go into Back Lake sometimes, and you get a lot of smaller pike. The only time the big pike are in there are in the springtime. So, I mean, to be in southern Ontario, like south of North Bay, and to be able to get pike in the, you know, I'd say 20 to about 35, 36 inch range is amazing. It's a long, lean fish. Now, what do you think the pike feed on that are in here?
We have a good population of perch, bluegill, sunfish. So I'm pretty sure they forage on most of the...
Good. Now you also do quite a bit of tournament fishing yourself, right?
Yes, I do a lot of tournament fishing.
So in fact, if we get the show done this afternoon, you're going to be fishing in a, you called it a twilight tournament?
Yeah, I'm in a twilight tournament, 3 to 8:30 tonight.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So is this what you do full-time fish, or do you actually work for a living, James?
Well, Italo, I wish I did this full-time for a living, but I'm a chef by trade.
Oh, good,
yeah.
Good. So do you ever do fish, or is it mostly like, you know, normal food? Like roast beef and stuff?
Well, we do it all. French cuisine, and we do it top to bottom.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, you know, since we've been talking, I've made like 3 casts. I've got 2 fish on. This could like spoil you. So there's got to be a ton of pike in here.
There's a very great population of pike in this lake.
Now, one thing you got to be careful, when you're in a kayak, the fish are really close to you. So, especially if you're using treble hooks like we are on these Lucky Strike spoons, you've got to be really careful. That's where we've got our tools. We've got our pliers. I even brought a hook out with me. I've got a landing net behind me just in case I need it. But you know, that's not bad for fishing out of a kayak and fishing a pothole lake. That fish is probably about 3 pounds. I'm going to get it back in the water. You know, we've got such a gorgeous day. The air temperature is probably about 85. And this is perfect. Now, James, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up to you. I'm going to give you a spoon. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I'm going to... Oh, I saw that. You had one on, didn't you? I hope it didn't bite you off.
No, it didn't break me off.
Now, one thing James and I aren't doing, we're not using wire leaders, even though we're seriously pike fishing. We're real sportsmen, so we're just using like 10 and 12 pound test fluorocarbon leaders. Okay, here's a really nice, this is a canoe spoon.
Oh, that's
so
very nice.
It's long, I think that one's about 6 inches. I've got a whole variety here. You know, when it comes to pike fishing, this is probably the #1 spoon. Just a simple red and white spoon is probably the top northern pike lure right across North America. You know, as professional fishermen, I know you do a lot of bass fishing and you fish for big panfish like big perch. You won the perch event this year, which is pretty good. We don't use spoons, like really for casting. You know, they're really an old school lure.
Old school. Well, they're really popular in the bass tournament for the deep jigging.
Right.
Jigging spoons.
Yeah, the vertical jigging spoon, like the Hopkins and so on. But anyway, we'll try some spoons. We'll keep fishing here, see what happens. I hope you get the biggest fish of the day on that one.
Well,
Then we can try some spinner baits. And then we have time, maybe we'll work the shorelines and even try for some bass.
oh, that'd be great.
Unless the pike have eaten them all, eh? You know, the nice thing about Rapala is they make so many different types of fishing rods. For example, what I'm holding up here, this is the Kayak series, and they're part of their North Coast fishing series. So what I've got here is a spinning rod, and you can see that it's a split grip, and also the bait casting rod, it's a split grip. Now, why is this a kayak rod? Because it has the rings right here. That's for you to place your lanyard in. Because when you're in a kayak, if you drop anything over the side, you're going to lose it, unless it's tied to a lanyard and tied to the kayaks. You can see both of them have the rings. And also they have a lot of foam, so the rods stay on top if they do hit the water. Now both of them are two-piece outfits, which are ideal for transporting, especially in a smaller vehicle, and they're both made out of composite material. So they're very sensitive but very strong. So if you do like to kayak fish, you might want to invest into a couple of good kayak rods.
Dickies Sport Fishing Sweepstakes.
We were just trolling along the edge of a deep spot, and we were marking all sorts of fish. We just weren't catching anything, so we decided to stop and start casting, and it was probably my third cast, and I hooked into that thing. Put up a pretty good fight. Mike's my dad, my fishing partner. We go out every spring for the Kiwanis Derby there in the Bay of Quinte, and that was the biggest fish of the weekend there, and we always have a lot of fun. Thanks for being there, being my fishing partner all the time, and it's always a lot of fun.
We'd love to hear your fishing story. Go to our website and enter the Dickies Sport Fishing Sweepstakes. It's free, and you could win some great prizes.